Move on to the second of our positional breakdowns here for Supercoach, and that's going to be the front row forward position. We've got our guns, we've got our value guys, and our couple of average cheapies, let's be honest, to finish this off. Hopefully, we do find a few more of those over the preseason and those trials. But starting up top there, we've got Tino Fa'asuamaleaui at 704.5k there. Average is 67. The buy in round 5 is a slight issue, but if you're keeping and looking to keep these guns for the entirety of the year, that buy isn't going to be too much of an issue because you're getting it out of the way a little bit earlier when you most likely have a gun to be able to cover him or someone hopefully on that bench to be able to do so. That is the only slight worry I'm seeing at the moment with anyone having buy in this top 10 rounds is the fact that we don't really have too many great cheapies on that bench. So if you're running a gun and a mid-range, a 2-gun, a 2 mid-range type of style in your starting 2, then you're going to need one of those cheapy guys to play. So that's probably something to think about if you're looking to pick up one of these guys. So we're looking at some pros for him being an 82 average across that last 5 games when he moved to prop, and that was in 67 minutes. So a delightful PPM there. He's obviously going to be a top 3 gun for the entirety of the season, especially if he's playing those bigger minutes like he was in the back end there. My question with him is can he play those big minutes week in, week out without getting injuries, without losing his really nice PPM that he has? So keep an eye out for Tino. If there's chat that he's going to be playing that sort of 65 minutes on a regular basis, then he has probably a little bit upside around that 70, 72. But there is the chance he gets back to about that 60 minutes, and I can see him averaging somewhere in those mid-60s there. So decent option. Going to be someone you want in your team at the back end of the year, but do you want him at the start? Joey Tarpany, a $699,500 there, 66.5 average. The buy-in round 8. So this is a little bit less of a worry for those guys that you're going to have on the bench to be able to cover when Joey has his buy, for example. Very much an improving player. He's going to be the pack leader as Josh Pupley ages, and he's had 3 years of averages in the mid-60s. So you can really get a good sense of where he's going to be at. The question is going to be, can he exceed that? Can he become a 70 point, 72, 73 point average type of player in this Raiders pack? And that 1.31 ppm is obviously super high. So if he can get around that 50, 55 minutes, that's kind of his sweet spot. Can he do that? But I really don't think the ppm can get much higher. Can it be maintained? It sure can. But how much higher can it get? So that's the big question with Joey at this stage. Obviously, he won't be playing Origin, so he's someone clearly you can just have in your team for the entirety of the year. And I see him probably being as good or slightly better of an option than what Tino is, just as someone that's probably going to play an extra game or 2 or 3 across the season, depending on how Tino is actually managed through that Origin period. Payne Haas, we come in at 662, so 37k less than Joey there. The average is 63 and has a buy in round 16. So he's obviously going to miss a fair few games through the middle, and he could be someone that you look to potentially move on come Origin, just because he's going to have a multitude of buys and going to miss games across that period. He'll obviously miss round 16 with the buy, round 17 as well. So can you miss out on a guy for 2, 3, 4 weeks in a row, or 4 out of 6, or however it's going to work for him? Is up to you on that one. Pros for him, obviously had the lowest season yet in his 4-year career playing big minutes. So I really think he could be the top scorer at a nice discount. So be aware of that he could easily score. He's got 68s, he's got 72, 75s in his career. So can he get back up to there and be the top guy? I think he can, and obviously at a discount there. He will play Origin. So you got that as we spoke about. And there's just so much going on right now. The injuries, he hasn't had a full preseason. There's plenty going on. So can you afford to take that risk to start the year? I definitely think there is some upside there, but you could also get a little bit burnt with him potentially playing 45, 50 minutes and not hitting that 63 average when you could have gone up right up top and get a high 60s average from the 2 guys above. Ruben Cotter there, 623.4. He comes in almost 40k cheaper. Average of 59.2. He has a late buy as well, and very, very, very much the same situation in terms of Origin with Payne Haas. So he's an improving player, definitely a little bit of room for value, and he was clearly managed after that hammy injury until he got to the finals. Him and Taumalolo, their minutes were managed and they were able to play big ones through the final series, which was great. But how's that going to go in the regular season? Will he be able to average somewhere close to that 55 to 60 minutes? Because if he can, then you'll clearly be able to see him get a 65 average there. But how's that going to go? He's definitely someone that was, would play 45 minutes, then he would play 65, and then he'd have a bunch in the low 50s to mid 50s. So yeah, we want to see some consistency out of him. That's probably the only kind of con, is that he has played some lower minute games, and we're just not exactly sure what his role is going to be. Whereas a few of the other guys, Tarpany and these ones, we actually clearly know what they're going to do. Tavita Satola at 535, so this is a lot cheaper here. But an average of 50, has a late buy. He won't be playing Origin. Some of the interesting things I see with him is potentially a bump of 5 minutes from the 46 that he averaged last year to about a 50, 51. Being that leader of the pack, you'd see him you'd think that he would be averaging about that 50 minutes. And that gives us about 5 to 7 or 8 points of value there. So anywhere in between that mid 50s to late 50s, which is going to make you about 100K, which will be great there, or close to it. And yeah, I think that could be a good stepping stone to one of the top guns if you're looking at Satola. Because the main issue there is he won't be a top keeper. So if you're thinking about him in that scenario, he won't get that far, I don't believe. He never has in the past. And, he's had the last couple of years been, pretty important roles at the Bunnings. They lose Mark Nichols, so potentially a few extra minutes for him as the leader of that pack. Definitely an option there in that guns category potential. Okay, value. We see Luke Thompson there at 512, so a little bit cheaper, averaging under 50 at 48.7. Here's a buy in round 13, so you get a nice run from him all the way through at that point. He's a focal point of that attack. He had an injury-affected season last year, which stopped him a little bit with his points. You can see in 2021, he absolutely killed it, averaged 66 there. So there's obviously a chance that he can get back to that, but I feel like that PPM is extremely high and most likely a bit of an outlier because the year before he didn't go so well. It was pretty close to where we're at now. So do you think that he can come out and do that? They do have Ryden Sutton. They've got Maxi King playing big minutes. They've got, plenty of middle/edges. When you're looking at RFM, you've got TPJ. There's plenty of guys that could play decent minutes there. So anything around that 50-odd minutes that he played last year would probably be normal. And do you see him improving off the back of that, off that injury, or can he stay the same? So I think too many question marks for him if you're looking to get a mid-range type of guy. Corey Horsburgh, the horse there, 48 average, a buy in round 8 at 505K. I feel like there's a chance at extra probably 7 minutes. He played 43 last year. Getting up to about the 50 mark would be pretty good. At a PPM of 1.12, I definitely see some value there. That would get you somewhere around that 55 to 56, which is, 7 or 8 points undervalued as well. Given that, Josh Papali'i is starting to play less and less minutes each and every year. They got Tarpany, and then I'd say him is your next big middle forward. So definitely is able to have attacking stats as well. So someone with a little bit of value, is he of interest in your team? Or would you go for someone like Gilbert or Saifidi there? We just don't have the clear role on Horsburgh at this point, and he's never been a keeper as well. Tommy Gilbert at 494, average of 47 last year in a role that was a little bit interchangeable. He plays some edge, he plays some middle, and it looks like he's going to be getting that 13 role here with the Dolphins. A buy in round 11 is obviously great as well. You're going to get a clear first 10 rounds, and then there's a chance that he makes Origin like he did last year. So moving to the middle, you expect the PPM to increase a little bit with a more set role. I think he's a very important young forward in this side. You've got the Bromwich brothers, you've got Felice Kafusi as their experienced older guys, but in the middle there, you don't really have anyone that's going to be putting their hand up for massive minutes, and I think Gilbert could be that guy. And if he gets anywhere close to that 55, 60 minutes, if we get some indication that that's going to be the case, then he's definitely someone that should be on a lot of people's radars. We just don't have a lot of knowledge of him in middle minutes. He's played a little bit of prop, but most of his time has been split between edge and then the middle. I just doubt he's a keeper at this point. Obviously at 494, it'd be very nice if we can get him up to a 600 odd, but I just doubt it. But potentially some money to be made, and if you are interested in him, I wouldn't be pushing you away from him. Daniel Saifidi at 484. He comes in with a 46 average and a buy in round 10. So with him, you can expect a minimum of about that 1 ppm. He's had 1.3 and 1.1 in 2020 and 21, and last year was under that at 0.9 approximately there. So looking at about 6 points minimum, if he can just get a 1 ppm, which would be great on his 52 minutes last year. He's going to be the pack leader. They lose Clem. He's obviously the guy that was playing big minutes for them at 62. I doubt Saifidi goes up too much in minutes. Maybe he's 52, maybe he gets to 53, 54, 55 there. But that PPM is what we're looking to improve. He was carrying a bunch of niggles last year. I can see him averaging somewhere between that 52 and 55. So he's a nice stepping stone. You get 9 rounds out of him, and then you could potentially move him onto a gun. And he has had obviously better years, like 1.3 ppm. If you can get anywhere near the 1.2, 1.3, then there's a decent amount more value there, and you can get him probably up to a 60 kind of average there, which would be cool. But he's never been a keeper, and obviously he's going to need health to be in his favor. All right, last couple on the value side there. Christian Welch there, 464. Average of, he's priced at 44.1 this year after his one game of 49 last year. And he has a buy in round 9. So he's coming off an Achilles tear. He's never been a keeper. I really think there's a chance that they work him into the season, so the big minutes might not come. He played 60 in round 1 last year. Average 52 the year before. So I'm expecting around that 50 minutes at a 1 to 1.1 ppm, which obviously puts him a little bit undervalued, somewhere around that 50 to 55 there, which would be nice. So, 5 to 10 points of value. But it's just how he's going to be played in round 1. He's obviously, as I said, the bit of a pack leader here as well, and has a great offload, so plenty of points in that one there. But how do they bring him in? Do they try and play a few of the younger guys bigger minutes until Welch builds up, or does he go straight back to some of those bigger minutes straight away? That's the question you need to ask yourself, because there's a bunch of guys around this price point that could be used in your team. And someone that I'm really interested in at the moment is Lindsay Collins at 455.1. Average of 43.3 last year and a buy in round 4. That is our main issue for him. And the fact that he hasn't really played a full season in a few years. So what we're expecting here, 50 minutes at a 1.1 ppm. Again, that gives you about that 10 points of value, which is really nice. And he's done it for a couple of years there. So the last 2 before the injury one last year, and just up and down in his role and minutes, he was able to score mid-50s in average. And this year they lose Siwa Takiaho, so being one of the stalwarts in this pack, it's Hargraves, Takiaho, and also Collins. And Siwa's got someone who played big minutes, and I think Collins can take a few of them. Around that 50 minutes would be pretty fair. I'm not expecting too much of him, and that would be able to see you do really well with the pickup for Collins. And obviously just being aware of how many Roosters players you would have with his buy being round 4. And just a couple of cheapies to mention, guys. We haven't got too much to talk about here. We've got Moale, Murdoch Masila, and also Franklin Pele, and potentially Jack Hetherington as well, which we don't have any clue on his role at the moment, so didn't want to put him in there. But we're just mentioning all those cheap guys at that 234, and then for both those guys, and then Pele for 216 there. Obviously, Murdoch having the buy in round 1 is a little bit of an issue because we don't know what that bench makeup's going to be. Obviously, from trials, we have half an idea, but we're going to have to wait until round 2. So if you pick him up and then he doesn't even make the squad, or he's playing 10 minutes a game or something, then you've kind of wasted a pick there. Moale is probably the most chance of getting a decent job with the Rabbitohs. He's been thereabouts for a few years now, and I think now is his opportunity. If we just get 25, 30 minutes out of him, that would be hectic. There's a lot of games where he only got 15 last year, so if we can get anywhere close to that, 25, 30, he's going to make a bit of cash, get us up into the 350s or something at a minimum, which would be good. And then Pele, we're just not sure on what his role is going to be. There are a lot of middles there. They could use him. They probably will use him for like that 25 to 30 minute role. If he can do that, that'd be great. But really, we're not exactly sure. But that's the front row forward position, guys. I hope you took a bit out of that and you're enjoying my Supercoach style videos for those that have come over from fantasy. And if I've got some Supercoach guys listening in, I'm going to be making all of these for the positions, and then going through the season. It'll be a lot going through my team, the strategy, the trades, and then we'll bring on a few of the other podcasts and YouTube channels to really build on that value that you're going to get each and every week from all those experts. So that's that one, guys. See you later.